सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Hello and welcome to Polygraph. I am Manasi, Phadke, Deputy Editor with ThePrint, and I have with me joining from Delhi is our political editor DK Singh. And together we are going to try and make sense of the latest episode in the Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena saga that has played out for the past 8 months. This has been a significant development where the Election Commission, in its final order yesterday, said that the name Shiv Sena and the symbol of the party, which is the bow and arrow, will go to the faction led by Eknath Shinde, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, who was also the petitioner in the case. Now, to just quickly go through how the Election Commission arrived at this decision, it applied 3 tests, essentially. Test of aims and objectives and constitution, test of the party's organizational strength, and test of the party's legislative strength. Of the 3 tests, it basically said that the first 2 were unmaintainable. And the third one, which is the one where Eknath Shinde actually emerges the strongest because he has 40 of Shiv Sena's 55 MLAs, and he also has a majority of the MPs. He has 13 of Shiv Sena's 18 MPs. So where he emerges the strongest is the one that was considered as the basis for this decision. Now we'll go into why the Election Commission decided to not look into the test of aims and objectives and constitution or the test of the party's organizational strength. But to just bring DK sir in, the immediate reaction from the opposition and the Uddhav Thackeray camp has obviously been that this is all partisan, that this was managed, and this kind of an order was also expected to a certain extent. What do you think about the allegations of bias in the Election Commission's decision?
Mansi, to start with, I think the people of Maharashtra must be relieved that this issue is finally settled. And the Eknath Shinde government can really focus on governance now. But having said that, if you look at it, the 3 criteria you spoke about, the criteria of the test of the constitution. Now, that's an interesting stand to take for the commission, because if it is saying that, the 2018 amendment to the Shiv Sena constitution, which I'm sure you'll be talking about at length after I finish. So if that amendment actually gave unbridled powers to the party chief, and so he would be actually nominating the people who would be electing him. And that's why this entire process is undemocratic. So if you stretch that logic a bit, in fact, we will be questioning JP Nadda's extension as party president.
Almost every party.
Look at how things happen in the BJP. So probably the BJP's parliamentary board, which is constituted by JP Nadda, takes a decision to give him extension. Then at the national executive meeting, now national executive again constituted by JP Nadda as party president, endorses the proposal to give him extension. So how do it look like? How democratic is it that, again, parliamentary board, national executive, both bodies constituted by party president JP Nadda gives him an extension? What I'm driving at is this entire stand is a bit problematic if you stretch it, because in every party, if you go into the democratic aspect of it, I mean, which party are we talking about? Which most of the parties being led are basically high command centric or the top leader centric.
Right.
Be it Gandhi in the Congress or Jagan Mohan in YS or RCP, Stalin in DMK. Look around. For that matter, Uddhav Thackeray in the other Shiv Sena faction. That's how party systems work. But yes, Election Commission has a point that it's undemocratic. Or probably what it is also adding is that probably EC was not intimated about that amendment to the constitution.
Right.
So there's some technical aspects. Yeah, but then again, the opposition party will be saying, what's the hurry in taking a decision on Shiv Sena? What about Lok Janshakti Party? Now, Chirag Paswan's party, they have gone to the EC in 2021. claiming the name and symbol of Lok Janshakti Party. That case is still pending. And that party only has, what, six MPs? That has not been decided yet. This issue has been, this Shiv Sena has been done. But having said that, I think it's good for Maharashtra. Finally, let's see what the Supreme Court decides. But at least Eknath Shinde, who has been actually putting a lot of focus on infrastructure development in Maharashtra. And frankly, if you ask me, I find him a better administrator than Uddhav Thackeray. At least he's talking about governance all the time. There's some sense of stability when it comes to governance. Focus, they know what they are doing. So I will not go into the merits or demerits of the EC decision at this stage, because Uddhav Thackeray has already declared that he will be going to the Supreme Court against this. Let's hear from the court. But I think for Eknath Shinde is good. It's good, and Eknath Shinde feeling more stable and in control is good for Maharashtra.
Right. So just to complete this thought, I'll talk a little about why exactly the constitution was called undemocratic, the EC's observations. I've also done a story which would be published on our website very soon. So do look it up for a more detailed idea about what the EC was thinking. But basically, according to the Election Commission, around 1997, 1998, it had written to the Shiv Sena saying that your constitution needs to be democratic. The constitution needs to do away with one particular point in it that said that Bal Thackeray can basically continue to be Shiv Sena chief till life or till the time he desires so, and the kind of unbridled power that the Shiv Sena chief had in appointing, making appointments, making expulsions, and so on and so forth. After that, the Election Commission says the Shiv Sena did amend its constitution in 1999 and placed it on record in front of the EC. Now, after Bal Thackeray's death in 2012, Uddhav Thackeray didn't want to officially be called the Shiv Sena Paksha Pramukh, because he said that there can be only one Shiv Sena Paksha Pramukh, who is my father, Bayasaheb Thackeray. In 2018, however, this post was once again created as part of the amended constitution. And this is when there were fresh elections to the Karyakarini Samiti, which is basically the senior most administrative body of the Shiv Sena. And everything was conveyed to the Election Commission, is what the Shiv Sena Uddhav faction now says. EC, however, says that while the names of the elected new office bearers was conveyed to them, the fact that the constitution was amended was never conveyed to the Election Commission. And since there is no evidence of a due process being followed in amendment of the constitution on the basis of which these office bearers were elected, it cannot really take the constitution into consideration. Another observation that the EC has made is that the Shiv Sena went back to the unbridled power that the constitution grants to the party chief, saying his decision is final. And that, it says, was undemocratic, where, as you also said at the beginning of the conversation, where the party chief himself nominates members to the Pratinidhi Sabha. The Pratinidhi Sabha elects members of the Karyakarini Samiti, which again the party chief nominates. And from among these people, the party chief is elected. So basically, he is nominating the electoral college that is electing him, which is what was considered to be undemocratic. And hence, even the test of organizational strength, because the organizational strength is based on the constitution, was not taken into account. And hence, that left the EC with just the test of the legislative strength, in which case Eknath Shinde was definitely, it was more beneficial to his faction.
Way back in 95, I think, we are talking about the split of the TDP, Telugu Desam Party. Now, N.T. Rama Rao was a superstar who had turned to politics. He was the chief minister. Now, Chandrababu Naidu, then, he was the finance minister in N.T. Rama Rao government. He was the son-in-law. He, along with a few others, decide to revolt against NTR. NTR was a mass Marx leader. These guys decide to revolt. And in a few days, I think within a span of a week, NTR had to resign. And then people thought that there would be backlash against Chandrababu Naidu for allegedly betraying his father-in-law and, ousting him. Nothing happened. So you never know when you expect that backlash. I'm sure even Uddhav Thackeray faction of the Sena would be hoping for that sympathy vote that we have been
Sympathy.
wrong.
How to basically convert that sympathy into votes is where he is going to have to strategize. And that sympathy would also be limited to certain pockets. Like in Mumbai, I'm guessing, especially his bastions of Lal Bagh Parel, Dadar, that's where he's likely to get the sympathy votes the most. But that can't be true for across Maharashtra. Uh, Another disadvantage for Uddhav Thackeray is that the election commission has still not basically said that the symbol of that flaming mashal and the name of Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray is the final one. It has just said that it can carry on with this name in the interim for the duration of the bypoll, which is on 27th of February. But what after that? So that there needs to be clarity.
Another thing, Mansi, actually, you can tell us better. So what we are told from here that even after this big crisis, probably Shinde is able to attract more Shiv Sainiks because he is there the whole day. He meets hundreds of Shiv Sainiks every day. That Thackeray are still not doing. They are going out, holding meetings, but that level of interaction is still much more intense when it comes to Shinde.
Yes, that is true. Eknath Shinde
true?
has been a more accessible Shiv Sainik, and he's generally somebody who enjoys being on the ground among people more than he enjoys sitting poring over files and doing official meetings. That is also something that a lot of people close to him have observed and keep telling us in the corridors of Mantralaya. Aditya Thackeray launched this, has been doing a lot of tours over the past few months. So there has been that effort for an outreach. And generally, this whole episode has, it's been a wake-up call for the Thackeray's to try and be more among people and more accessible. Uddhav Thackeray can, of course, say that he was unwell for the duration, for a large part of the duration that he was chief minister. And then there was COVID, so he was being cautious. So whatever the reason could be, that image of he being an isolated leader working from his ivory tower, that has stuck. And while Aditya is on the road, Uddhav needs to be seen more. And what we saw today was actually a good start. I mean, the very next day after this kind of a verdict, there was a large crowd outside Matoshri, and he stepped out. He climbed on top of a jeep, and standing there, he basically delivered this fiery speech about how this is all injustice, and we dare you to come and fight us on the bow and arrow symbol, and my Shiv Sainiks will still defeat you. So that kind of vigor, you need to see more of it, and you need to see more of him for that image to be completely voided.
What we have also seen in this Modi political era, I would say, is that increasing dislike for dynastic politics.
Yeah.
No, it sticks with opposition. So even if people say that the BJP also has so many dynasts, it doesn't work against it, but with the opposition, it works somehow.
Yeah.
And this is the entire plank of the Thackeray's. How will the people respond? I don't know. How will the Shiv Sena respond? We don't know. They are probably very loyal to Bal Thackeray and his, legacy.
Yeah.
But is that good enough for the Thackeray's to reclaim it? I'm not sure.
Right. We'll take a viewer's question. The question is for you. How do you see the role of the Marathi media, the regional media in this scenario? Because right now...
Well, Manasi, I'm sorry, I can't even read Marathi. You will have to answer that question, please.
Basically, his question is that the regional media seems aligned with Uddhav Thackeray. And so what kind of an impact will generally sympathetic media coverage to Uddhav Thackeray have on his prospects? And he's also asking, are there any inputs from BJP sources about their next move in Maharashtra?
Not really, but it's very clear. We just referred to why the EC has been sitting over the Lok Janshakti Party a name and symbol dispute, and why it has actually gone ahead with this Shiv Sena issue, even though this issue is more complicated and it's still pending in the Supreme Court. So the things are very clear. BJP is going for the BMC election. You may be hearing the dates anytime now.
Right.
And lots of things. And post BMC election, we'll see how things
we'll
go. But the immediate thing is immediate thing is we are going to hear dates of for BMC elections shortly.
Right. Then the next question by Priyank Upadhyay. He is asking, with this EC decision, will Eknath Shinde ask for the same number of seats in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections as well as assembly elections, like the Thackeray Shiv Sena, like the undivided Shiv Sena has done in the past? Will they want a
I think
50-50?
look, that will depend on again BMC election, how they do in Thane and
Right.
other corporations. There's still some time, because I think in
Corporation.
2019, what it was 25-23 the ratio
Hmm.
in the Lok Sabha. I think it was 25-23, 23 for Shiv Sena.
Yeah, yeah.
But depends. Of course, if Eknath Shinde and now the real Shiv Sena, they are able to prove in these coming corporation elections, municipal elections, in the next few months, that they have actually, or that the people have accepted them as real Shiv Sena.
Hmm.
Then of course they will deal with the BJP as the old Shiv Sena used to deal.
So the corporation elections are something that all of us need to watch out for first.
Yeah, because whether the Shiv Sainiks and the people have accepted them as the real Shiv Sena, they are voters.
Right.
If Shinde is able to prove that in coming elections, then of course he would like to deal with the BJP in a different way.
Absolutely. Personally, I think what Sharad Pawar said was the right advice. He said, move on. Which is in a way true, because this is also a chance for Uddhav Thackeray to, I mean, fine, there is this fight for your father's legacy and all of that, and you are making noise on that part. So you're already telling people that, there is somebody there's a predator who's come and snatched my father's legacy away from me. But this is also a chance for him to reinvent the party the way he wants it to be. Because today's Shiv Sena under Uddhav Thackeray and Aditya Thackeray is very different from Bal Thackre's Shiv Sena. And today's Shiv Sena is constantly held. They're constantly questioned on what Bal Thackre's Shiv Sena did at that time versus what you're doing now. And that is where the charges of having moved away from ideology and all of that come from. So the today's Shiv Sena is more liberal for sure than what Bal Thackre's Shiv Sena was on several counts. So he can reinvent, and that will take a long time. It's not going to show results in the next assembly elections necessarily, or even the ones after that. But politics is a long game. Ultimately, it's Uddhav Thackeray. He's not doing very well health-wise. He's not in the pink of health. At some point of time, he's going to have to hand over charge to Aditya Thackeray. And Aditya Thackeray's Shiv Sena will be even more different than what today's Shiv Sena is. So I think this is a hidden opportunity for them to start initiating that change right from now, which would be a long game. And then Aditya Thackeray can cultivate his own voter base. As far as Eknath Shinde is concerned, I'm sure he knows very well that everything that has happened has happened because of the BJP's blessings. I'm not alleging a bias here per se, but he's been able to form the government also because of the BJP. With 40 legislators, he wouldn't have been able to form the government, let alone be chief minister. So somewhere he has that notion of being thankful to the BJP as of now. The corporation elections will clearly decide where the balance of power lies, because if he can clearly show that he can be an equal to the BJP, which is again, I think it's a far-fetched possibility, because he has his strength in pockets, and he will perform well in those pockets. But largely, if you look at all municipal corporations in Maharashtra and how the BJP performs, the vote share that the BJP gets versus the vote share that Eknath Shinde gets, I think BJP would still be quite far ahead. So that feeling of that sense of gratitude and wanting to lean on the BJP to grow his Shiv Sena is still going to remain for some time. That's how I see it playing out for both the parties. But yeah, that's basically it.
I think for Eknath Shinde, the real challenge is now how he deals with the BJP. Now in the BMC election also, will BJP give it as many seats as it was supposed to give to the Shiv Sena earlier? Now you are the Shiv Sena. How many seats can you get from the BJP as part of the alliance?
Right.
Now, if you allow the BJP to have that upper hand in the BMC election and have its own mayor, then again, that's where your erosion starts. So how much negotiation can you, how much bargaining will happen how much can you get out of that bargain, will also actually set this new Shiv Sena's trajectory in future.
Trajectory in the future, absolutely. So a lot depends on the next few months. And Eknath Shinde has not fought a single bypoll until now. All bypolls ever since this government has been formed have been fought by the BJP. And the upcoming two are being fought by the BJP. So we really don't know how people are responding to him just as yet. So there needs to be a major election for that to, for all of us to get a handle on that.
For me, the good thing about this government is, while he's talking about Bala Saheb's legacy, he is not going back to that nativist ideology that Shiv Sena has moved on. He is not going to the Hindutva ideology that Bala Saheb adopted. He talks about them, but his entire focus is on governance. And that, I think, is a good thing.
Yeah. The next question is a little specific, but I'm going to make it a little more general. The question is basically from Tanvi Panjwani, and she's asking on the basis on which the EC gave the name and symbol to Shiv Sena to Eknath Shinde. Will EC give MNS name and symbol to Raju Patil, who is basically the only MLA of MNS in Maharashtra Assembly, in case he stands up and claims it? Basically, what she's trying to ask is that will this set a precedent, and will every time there is a dispute, even if there's one or two MLAs?
Basically, the test of majority she is talking about.
Right.
So that will be the most prevalent one, because the Sadiq Ali case, the EC has cited, it's about the split in the Congress way back in 71. This EC had given that ruling. And the Sadiq Ali thing, actually, that case was after EC gave that ruling, Supreme Court had endorsed that ruling by the EC. So that's how it has become a precedent. Now, as you discussed in the beginning, it's not the test of majority, it's the test of legislative majority, test of constitutional, test of your organizational majority,
right,
and then test of aims and objectives. So test of aims and objectives, whether you're still sticking to the original ideology you went ahead with the original objectives, that's, usually you will find that there won't be much debate when it comes to settling such disputes.
Right, which is what happens.
Organizational strength, that's a bit disputable in the sense that, how do you decide that? In this case, you decide that, okay, what the amendments the Shiv Sena brought was undemocratic. Now, if you widen this definition, how a party becomes undemocratic, then in every party you will have such disputes, and whether something is democratic or undemocratic, it's a very wide thing. Basically, what you have done is you have made test of majority or legislative majority the principal criteria. And that's again problematic, because anytime, if you have, say, what happened in Meghalaya, if a majority of Congress MLA joined the TMC, but they could have very well declared themselves, okay, we are the Congress here in Meghalaya, because we have the legislative majority. With the regional parties, it may happen very often, more often than you can think of. So that will have an impact on this AIDMK dispute also.
Right.
So test of majority in the legislature, that has become the cornerstone now. And we have to see how, of course, all these things keep evolving. But as she's talking about MNS, for instance, the lone MLA of the MNS.
Right.
Now, if he goes that, okay, I have this symbol, and how Raj Thackeray has been controlling the party, so he is not democratic. How he runs the party, how he appoints people, is not democratic. So I am the real MNS. Going by the election commission's logic, yes, the MLA will get the party.
It can be a possibility. Right.
Yeah.
And, finally, what happens to Shiv Sena's properties? I mean, we know now that the EC has said that Eknath Shinde is actually Shiv Sena. So what happens to its buildings, its publications, its wealth, the contributions that it has received until now? So as far as the headquarters and Samna is concerned, and the Shakhas are concerned, I can say that Samna is owned by Prabodhan Prakashan, which is the publishing house is owned by the Thackeray family. So Samna will very well stay with the Thackeray family. It's not a property of the party. With regards to Shiv Sena, again, it's owned by a trust. It's not in the party's name. So if at all Eknath Shinde wants to gain control of Sena Bhavan, then I mean that will be a different dispute altogether to be able to get control of the trust.
Sorry, Mansi, you were saying Sena Bhavan is run by a trust.
Trust, yes. Yeah, it's not in the party's name. And all the individual shakhas also, they are also not necessarily in the party's name. At some places, the corporators have started the shakhas, the MLAs have started the shakhas. So it's not like all of these edifices are going to come with Eknath Shinde. But with regards to the party's riches, I mean, I also need clarity on that. Yeah, that's all that we have for you right now. Thank you so much for watching Polygraph, and thank you, DK sir, for joining us today. We will be back again next week with a new episode. Do tune in.